Oh man, this has been some kind of day. Hello again. Today we're going to talk about, the reason I was late, I'm sorry. The reason I was late, I was rushing to get over here and I got stopped by the police for speeding. And he said, "What's your excuse for speeding?" And I said, "I have dangling participles I have to take care of." "Oh," he said, "dangling participles. No wonder you had to get there and get them taken care of. You don't want to let those participles dangle." So today we're going to talk about dangling participles and other very, very important things that I didn't learn, but they learned me in school. And school, S-K-O-O-L, I believe that's how it should be spelled, because that's the way it should be pronounced, the way basically it's spelled. So anyway, we're going to talk about what they learned me in school today. Yep, we got the dangling participles taken care of. I got here just in time to undangle them. So we're all set. My school life started when I was young, of course. Kindergarten, we had the most beautiful teacher, and all of the boys liked her, but she was very pretty. And then from first grade on, they all got old. We had all old teachers. And the old teachers, funny thing about all of them, every one of them must have been single, because we always called them Miss. Miss Pierce, Miss Miller, Miss Black, Miss this, Miss that. So I don't know, I guess they all missed out. Anyway, we're going to talk about English class first. In English class, we were always told never end a sentence with a with, of, to, or for. So I've decided I know how to take care of not ending the sentence with those. And here's how we do it. We just add a period after each of them. There, we didn't end with any of that. We just added a period. So that took care of that English lesson. So they learned me that, and I took care of this on my own, the periods. I come up with that. Now I understand we have proper, standard, and formal English. In southeastern Ohio, where I'm from, we have another English. It's called Southeastern Ohio, SEO, Southeastern Ohio English. So we don't need proper, we don't need standard, we don't need formal, because we got Southeastern Ohio English. And in Southeastern Ohio, we don't have would, could, and should. We have woulda, coulda, shoulda, and that's Southeastern Ohio English. Now I went on a cruise one time, and we were talking, and this one lady said to me, "Where are you from?" I said, "Ohio." Now we pronounce it Ohio. Some people call it Ohio, but we call it Ohio. Anyway, she said, "Well, I knew you weren't from around here by your accent." I said, "Lady, I don't have an accent. These people from down south have accents. I don't have an accent." So we discussed that for a while. Then next thing we go to on the English lesson for today is conjugating verbs. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this board and get this lesson off of here. And I'm glad I can share my learning with you guys and learn you something too at the same time. The next thing that really has come in handy in my life is conjugating verbs. No, that's not how you spell it. Nope. Using. There we go. Well, I guess the reason I don't like verbs very well, because verbs are things that make you do stuff, and I'm getting old and I don't like to work that way anymore. But anyway, I learned that I am, you are, he, she, it is, we are, you are, they are. Now, I saw a show on TV once where Davy Crockett was conjugating verbs, and he said, "I ain't a gonna," and here's our again, gonna. "You ain't a gonna." He must have been from southeastern Ohio. "He ain't a gonna," and so forth. "We ain't a gonna," "you ain't a gonna," "they ain't a gonna." So those are conjugating verbs, and that has been very, very handy in my life. Let me think. I tell you what, maybe you can send me in comments. Let me know when you've ever used conjugating verbs once you got out of school. I've been told that one should not exaggerate, and they've told me a million times never exaggerate. They always told me in school, don't exaggerate, don't exaggerate. A million times I've told you not to exaggerate. So there's another thing that kind of threw me off. And through, is that Through or Threw? That's another thing. I'm not sure about that. So anyway, we'll let that part go. But school was kind of a social place for me because I met new friends every year. The 3 years I spent in the fourth grade, I met new friends coming in each year from the third grade. And then when I got to the fifth grade, there were some people there waiting for me that had been in the fifth grade the year before, so I met more new friends. So if you failed a class, you met new friends. If you passed a class, you met new friends. So school was a social place, too. I did enjoy my 3 years in the fourth grade, though. I met a lot of kids. But you know how I finally got out? I outgrew the seat. So in school, if you outgrew your seat, they'd move you on. So the trick was, hit the cafeteria hard, get big, and you get out of the grade a lot quicker. But back then, I was worried about, I had to behave because they had these big sticks that they called pointers, but they'd crack you in the head with them if you weren't careful. And that's why my hair kind of sticks up a couple of places, because that's where I was cracked in the head when I was younger, and it just pops up, and that's why it sticks up that way, I guess. But one other thing we always had to worry about was the electric paddle. The electric paddle was always a threat to us. So we had to worry about that. But unfortunately, I never ran into the electric paddle in my days in going to school. I did have favorite subjects. I like recess, and I like lunch. And lunch helped me remember get through the school because that made me bigger. Recess, when we went out to recess, the guys always stayed away from the girls because the girls had cooties. And you guys remember when the girls had cooties. But you know what? Somehow between elementary school and the time you got in the 8th grade, the girls got rid of their cooties. And we started going around them. And we used to go to dances at the YMCA, YWCA. And the dances kind of was a standoff. The guys were all on one side of the gym, the girls were on the other side of the gym, and never the two would meet. And then as we got older, somehow that group got closer and closer together. In high school, they were hanging on to one another. And we never had to worry about the cooties anymore. So that was a nice thing. Didn't have the great divide. Oh, what else was I going to say about school? Also, when you were growing up at home, you learned some things called manners. And this is something that would be great if the kids would learn more of today. I was at a gas station one day, and this young fellow was next to me, and he was pumping gas, and I said hello to him. He said, "Hello, sir." And we talked. Every time he'd say something, he'd say, "Yes, sir," "No, sir." And I said, "Are you military?" And he said, "No, just good parents." And that's good. That's good. We had parents and grandparents. I was lucky enough to be raised by my parents and grandparents. So what I didn't learn in school, I did learn at home, and that was manners. So I've always tried to be mannerly and treat people right. We also knew how to clean our plates. We were always told, clean your plate when you're eating. That could be why we're a little heavier today, because we're always taught, eat everything on your plate, don't waste anything. You always know, if you talk to people, how old they are or when they grew up, by who in the world was starving. People in Ethiopia were starving when I was a kid. Later on, people in another part of the world and another part of the world. So different people in different parts of the world were starving as you grew up. Now, I always liked math class, because math basically had 10 digits. No more, no less. And all you did was just a combination of the 10 digits. So math was kind of easy. And if you really wanted to learn math, you put a dollar sign in front of it. You put a dollar sign in front of it, people get more interested in math. Now, foreign language is another animal. To me, English was a foreign language. I took Latin for 2 years, and I've spoken and talked to people in Latin very little in my history. And speaking of history, history is the toughest thing to know because they're still making it. They make more history every day. And you can never catch up. Never catch up because history is being made every day. I also had a battle with Spanish. I took Spanish 2 years in high school, and then later I was lucky enough to get into college, and I took it 2 years of college, and I had 4 different teachers during that time. An English teacher that taught Spanish, a Brazil lady who taught Spanish, one from Cuba, and a person from Spain. And they all had different dialects, and it made it really tough. So I really didn't learn a whole lot. But I did go on a cruise one time, and we were sitting at a table with some folks, and they were speaking Spanish, and they couldn't speak English, and we didn't speak much Spanish. And so I decided I would communicate with them. And I said, "Yo habla español un poco." I know Spanish a little. And from that point on, they called me Poco. Hey, Poco, hey, Poco, hey, Poco. And after 2 times eating with them, they wanted their table changed, and they moved to another table. My most pleasant subject, like I said, was eating and phys ed. In my day, we had breakfast, dinner, and supper. And dinner and supper, those have been a big arguing point in my life. A lot of people think that meal you eat at night is dinner, and I think dinner is what you eat at lunch, and the supper is what you eat at night. So that's always been an argument, and we're not really fond of changing. So I can't figure out which way it is, but by far my best subject was probably lunch, or lunch period. School became more fun when I got to high school and I started dating girls. I'm glad those cooties were cured. Many times I remember asking my date if she'd like to go out, and we'd go somewhere and we'd diagram sentences all evening. I had to find some use for diagramming sentences, and I can't find anything else in life where I've been able to congregate verbs, diagram sentences, and I'm still searching for the dangling participles. Ain't English grand? Math has always been easy, like I said, because there's only 10 digits, and they're not making any more, and you put the dollar sign there. A friend of mine was teaching math in college in Detroit one time, and some lady asked him, she was a sophomore in high school, is the decimal point really important? So you guys all know the answer to that. Well, that's about it. That's what all that they learned me in school. Thanks for watching today. Please subscribe and share, and I'm sure many of you have many stories about your school activities. Please send them in to me, and I'll mention them in other videos coming. So once again, have a great day. Please subscribe, and adios, amigos. Oh, don't forget to climb under your desk in case of a tornado, too. I forgot that one.